Mark, Hard Rock Star Series, Book 5. Written by Jade Allen. Read by D.C. Cole. Chapter 1. We told the label that we were starting over mostly from scratch, and we hadn't been lying, but we hadn't been all that upfront about how long it was going to take us to start the album over with Jack. I was thinking about that fact, and the latest scolding from Ron about how the label people were getting restless, while I sat in front of a teeny-tiny cafe that didn't even have a name anymore. It had changed hands so many times. Things with Dan and me were still a little shaky a couple of months after our big meeting with Ron, but we were at least hanging out again. I could look at Sophie without feeling like she was some bitch goddess of whiskey who'd scorned me, but I still felt like the odd man out in the band. Everyone else had someone. Alex had Mary, Jules had Fran, Nick had Olivia, and the sole other holdout, Dan, had Sophie. It was starting to form a new dynamic in the band. We didn't all just hang out after practices or recording or whatever and get drunk like we used to. The other guys now had someone to meet up with, to go home to. "You want a refill?" I looked up from my phone. Jimmy, one of the sons of the woman who owned the cafe, was standing at my table with a pot of coffee in his hand. "Sure, man," I said, pushing my cup towards him. I'd been out late, really late, the night before, hanging with Nick and Olivia. She apparently wanted to do a special on after-hours parties in the local scene, and if my blurry memories were anything to go by, she ended up with more material than she could use. We'd gone to see Garage Collective and Bent Bridges at Chelsea Club, and ran into the boys from the Sweet Goodbye and Nolan from Bang Bang. From there, the night had just gone completely off the rails. As soon as Bent Bridges and Garage Collective finished up, we were all headed out to Scarlett's, and then somehow found ourselves at the end of the night at Benji's house from the Sweet Goodbye. I wasn't even sure if Nick and Liv had managed to get home by the time I crashed in my own bed a few hours later. Jimmy poured me some coffee. I thanked him and watched him walk to one of the other tables. I'd managed to sleep for a couple of hours before the sun in my room made it impossible, and then made my way to the cafe. I didn't have a hangover exactly, but I was definitely feeling the lack of sleep. Fortunately, we weren't in the studio that day, or else I'd be in trouble. I scrubbed my face and debated whether it'd be worth it to go back home just yet. I didn't have anything on the calendar for the day, and not even really anything for the night. I obviously couldn't hang out at the cafe all day, but I didn't...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?